Hello, my dear parents, teachers, educators. We welcome you all for this wonderful show by Mrs. Geetha Krishnan. We welcome you on behalf of the Vanamailai and Ekaleva YouTube channel. The purpose of our channel is to bring important topics for discussion where parents need some guidance and some clarity. Very briefly, the biodata of Mrs. Geetha Krishnan spans to 50 years, 50. Madam, pranams to you. 50 years is a huge service for the society. She started as a master's graduate, MA in English literature. Before that, degree in English literature. She did her B.Ed in English and Special English, Diploma in Business Communicative English, Cambridge University. She started working for Kalalaya from 1971 to 74, then Padma Seshadri Group of Schools from 74 to 84. Then she went to Mumbai from 1984 to 1997. All through, she was specializing in English. Then her her array of experience spans across experience as English teacher, experience in schools, contributions to students, contribution to different schools during working tenure, general experience in allied field. To be very specific, she conducts English conversation classes for students from 1st to 8th standard, organizing creative drama shows for children of the primary classes, training students for inter-school quiz competition. She trains teachers. We can be going on and on. Her biodata is so brief, so detailed. Most important is she is in a context where the country is going through a major change in the education process of education. We are talking about தமிழ் வழியில தான் 8th standard வரைக்கும் படிக்கணும் அப்படின்னா முதல்ல, அப்புறம் 8th வரைக்கும் அப்படின்னா இப்போ +2 வரைக்கும் ஈவன் தி சிபிஎஸ்இ ஸ்கூல்ஸ் should have a section in Tamil medium. அதுவும் இல்லாம இத்தனை வருஷமா படிக்கும் பொழுது நான் கூட தமிழ் மீடியம் படிச்சுட்டு தான் இங்கிலீஷ் மீடியம் வரும்பொழுது நான் லயோலா காலேஜ் போகச்ச ஏதோ ஒரு லாங்குவேஜ் பேசிட்டு இருந்தாங்க, என்னன்னு தெரியல. அப்புறம் தான் தெரிஞ்சது அது இங்கிலீஷ் அப்படின்னுட்டு. பல ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸுக்கு மேத்ஸ் கேட்டா பயப்படுறாங்களோ பயப்படல தெரியாது, ஆனா இங்கிலீஷ் பேசுறதுக்கு பயப்படுவாங்க. That is the area of specialization of Mrs. Geetha Krishnan. We welcome you for the show, madam. It is going to be a very interesting interview with you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Madam, let me start with one question. See, when you come to the career, how important is conversation English? தமிழ்லயோ ஹிந்தியிலயோ படிக்கிறோம், அதுக்கப்புறம் கம்பெனில சேர்றோம், இல்ல டாக்டரா போறோம், இல்ல இன்ஜினியரா போறோம். How relevant is English communication language? Can you tell me briefly on this? Let us start that with a question.
Yes, in today's scenario, definitely English has a very pivotal role because that is world over, it's the communicative mode, and people feel not very comfortable if they do not know how to speak in English. Of course, you can manage in your native tongue, not that you can't manage. But if the person is ambitious and would like to go overseas, then it becomes really a necessary thing for him to pull on and communicate with others. There are many people who can understand and will not be able to respond the right way in the English. All said and done, English is a foreign language. We haven't been through it right from birth. It's just later that we've been trained in that language. And I think, according to me, I think it is essential to have a sound working knowledge of the language. You need not be extremely proficient or anything great about it. A sound working knowledge is an essential factor.
Okay. Now, let's say that I get a student studying in 8th standard. I
Yes.
find that the student is not proficient in English communication. What are the 5 things that student should do to become proficient in conversation English? 5 things or 6 things, whatever it is. What the student should do now?
Actually, it's a great thing that every child is a multilingualist. Somehow, you can really train a child into any kind of language, and many languages too. So it is just by practice that we can bring the child forward, an 8th standard child or a kindergarten child or a 4th standard child or a 9th standard child who is not very good at English can be brought forward with absolute conversational practice. Effective communication will help him, especially when you have a whole bunch of questions to ask him. He will definitely strike upon the answer. Maybe it will be first just one word answer and nothing more than that. And slowly, by and by, he will try to coherently string the sentences and answer. It is absolute practice. And then one thing that we should remind that child is he should think in the language that he would like to speak in. If I were to speak in Tamil, I have to think in Tamil. I cannot translate an English sentence to Tamil because most of the playwrights and authors always have been telling that a translation is only a marred version of the original.
Okay. What is that the child should do? Let us say that today the child says, "Sir, நான் வந்து இங்கிலீஷ்ல பேசணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன்." What are the things the child should do to become proficient in English? What are the steps the child should do?
That's a very good topic. Probably for such a child, you can have an intensive coaching with thematically. Take a theme once every alternate day. One day we work with the theme and we ask him to talk about it if he knows, and he can also mix up his language in English and say whatever he can. And we do not correct him. We do not correct him at all. And we accept him as he has spoken to us. And then subsequently, you can contribute what you want for that theme in the language of English. And the next day, let him not come for a coaching or anything. Let him mull over whatever he has learned. On the 3rd day when he's back, then we can again show him the theme, either through a prop or a banner or whatever, and ask him to talk about it. He'll definitely come out with a whole bunch of correct sentences. There's no doubt about it because he's had that 48 hours of time.
Okay. Right. If you at least, I think about 70% of the teachers are from a semi-urban area, village area. Lucky are those who are born and brought up in metropolitan cities like Chennai, Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi, and all that. Those teachers, especially those teachers whose mother tongue is not English, what they should do to catch up, because it's not a child. Small children pick up very fast. Their learning curve is very, very short. What the teachers should do to pick up their language?
Okay. We can go a step forward by using bilingual method when we handle the adults, because we can tell them we are not going to be continuously using bilingual method, but we are starting off with the bilingual method to give them a very comfortable arena. Once they are set and settled in that arena very comfortably, then the process of thinking comes in, and then we can start from easy to average to difficult to more difficult situation, where the teacher trainee would be able to come out with their ideas and give them some time. They need that time to think. They need that time to assimilate their thoughts together. So initially, a bilingual method will be really helpful to them, because I have an experience. I had to conduct a workshop on early parenting, early childhood program, where the parents were invited, and I was candidly told that I have to be on a bilingual approach. So I did my PPT in bilingual method by borrowing the Tamil sentences from Google, thanks to Google Translator. And I managed to rehearse it many times because I didn't want any anglicized accent in my Tamil. I wanted to speak the right way. So I had a mirror before me and I had the PowerPoint before me and I looked at myself if I am not anglicized. And if I was anglicized, I corrected myself. And then I contributed the program in a way that they felt very comfortable. At the end of the session, they said, "You said this madam will not be able to speak in Tamil." But I defied that. I said, "No, I will." I did it. I think it's just the question of the mental thing that. So the program, the 2-hour program, went off very well, and the parents were also very comfortable.
Oh, okay, okay. Now one more thing. Please. Sorry, go ahead. Please go ahead. Yeah.
So a few psychology points which they came out with, I had to think in Tamil and give it to them because I didn't prepare myself for those questions. They were quite smart with those 3-4 questions. I had spoken to them in English, and thanks to one of the parents, he translated to them in Tamil.
Okay, very good.
Active approach.
Very good. You mentioned one thing that you cannot think in Tamil and then speak in English.
Yes.
You can think only in English and then think and speak in English. That is the opposite in many schools today. The children think in Tamil and then speak in English. How do you change this? That is, a person who is used to thinking in Tamil and speaking in English, how do you make the person to think in English and speak in English?
No, that is another very good question. What I normally do is I place my hand on my head and I say I'm wearing the thinking cap. Today I'm wearing the thinking cap, and I make the participants also do that and say that I am wearing the thinking cap. I'm going to think in English. I'm going to think for the talk. I'm going to think to be smart enough to give my answers. And I'm going to be thinking to enjoy my program today. So even the tiny little ones with their little tiny hands will put their hand on their head and say, I'm going to think. Then I asked them, have you fitted your thinking cap well? And they say, yes, ma'am, we have fitted the thinking cap well. And then I said, you'll really think in English now. So what happened was, I showed them a camel picture one day. I showed them a camel picture and I said, what do you call it for Tamil? Ottagama? Ottagam. So one child said, camel. The child next to me and said, Ottagam, camel. So others understood. Then a little later, I brought out one crocodile picture, a beautiful crocodile picture. And I said, Mudale. Then another child came and said, crocodile in his own list.
Okay.
He said, crocodile. So I said, how did you know? He said, I wore my thinking cap.
Wow.
But he's learned the word earlier. He was familiar. But he was able to tell me very proudly that he had worn the thinking cap very well. So that is the way it has a very psychological effect, and slowly they get into the groove.
Now tell me, that's wonderful, madam. The children are told to wear a thinking cap, and then that approach makes a very big difference in their approach to speaking in English.